Hi, this is NextGen Picks. You finally pull the trigger on an $1,800 LG C5 OLED. You haul it inside, carefully mount it, peel the plastic off, and turn it on, only to find a spiderweb crack dead center, right where the delivery guy laid the box flat on a hand truck. You call customer service, they blame the manufacturer blames the courier, and suddenly your living room is just a very expensive warehouse for broken glass. Here is the ugly reality of buying a TV in 2026. Reviewers obsess over peak brightness and gray uniformity. I do it too. But none of those specs matter if you buy it from a retailer whose return policy entraps you after 15 days. Where you buy an 85 in TCL QM8 dictates exactly how miserable your life gets when the main board fries in month 14. I don't take sponsor money from big box stores, so I can tell you exactly how the reverse logistics actually operate. If you want to support independent retail forensics, hit subscribe NextGen Picks. Now, let's talk about the 15-day trap. Let's strip away the marketing gloss. The current state of consumer electronics retail is a hostile environment. When you buy an $800 smartphone, you can chuck it in a padded mailer and drop it off at the post office if the battery dies. When you buy an 85 in TCL QM8, you're essentially purchasing a glass billboard that weighs over 100 pounds. Retailers know exactly how difficult it is to transport these things. The entire system is designed around the assumption that once you manage to wrestle that box into your house, you will never want to pack it up again. They bank on your laziness. They calculate return friction into their profit margins. I learned this the hard way. It was awful. When I had the 65-in Samsung S90D in my studio for 2 weeks, the thing that actually got to me wasn't the Tizen operating system lagging on the home screen. It was the sheer anxiety of keeping the massive cardboard box entirely pristine in the corner of the room just in case I had to schedule a freight pickup. If you're already reaching for your phone to check your Amazon cart, hold on, we need to talk about Best Buy first because they represent the most dangerous trap, and simultaneously the best safety net in the entire TV market right now. Let's look at a specific scenario. You walk into Best Buy and purchase an LG G4 77-in OLED for around $3,500. It's a gorgeous panel. You decline the extended warranties because you're a smart shopper, right? You bring it home. Day 1, it looks flawless. Day 17, you're watching a moody dark scene in a movie, and you notice a faint vertical stripe running down the left third of the screen. You pull up a 5% gray test slide on YouTube. Heavy vertical banding. You pack it up, rent a truck, and haul it back to Best Buy. The customer service rep scans your receipt. Sorry, our standard return window is 15 days. You'll have to process an RMA directly with LG. This is where the nightmare starts. LG will ask for photos. They will evaluate the banding, and there is a very high probability they will declare it within normal manufacturing specifications and deny your claim. You are now stuck with a $3,500 defective panel because you missed the retailer's microscopic return window by 48 hours. Actually, let me explain that better. Best Buy didn't accidentally make their return policy 15 days. They did it to sell you the $180 per year My Best Buy Total membership. If you pay the toll, that brutal 15-day window expands to a very comfortable 60 days. You get 2 full months to break the TV in, run gray uniformity tests, check for dead pixels, and return it no questions asked if you lose the panel lottery. But that's not even the part I wanted to talk about. The real reason Best Buy dominates a specific segment of the market is Geek Squad. If you are buying an OLED, any OLED from LG, Sony, or Samsung, the pixels will eventually degrade. That is just the physics of organic light emitting diodes. If you play video games with static health bars or watch financial news networks with scrolling tickers, you are slowly burning those images permanently into the screen. Most extended warranties are mathematically terrible investments. I spent way too long reading warranty terms last year. My family has concerns, but Best Buy's Geek Squad Protection is the only mainstream retail warranty in the US that explicitly covers OLED burn-in, not manufacturer defects burn-in. I've seen them swap entire panels for customers in year 4 because a Call of Duty mini-map got permanently etched into the corner. I'll just say it, and I know half of you will disagree and defend Costco's policies. Buying an OLED anywhere other than Best Buy right now is a mathematically terrible decision. Costco's included all-state warranty explicitly excludes burn-in. Why would you risk a $3,000 investment on organic technology without burn-in protection? Drop your current TV age and brand in the comments. I'm genuinely curious who is actually surviving past the 3-year mark without panel degradation. What are you running, and has the screen held up? Let me know what specific models you want me to test the burn-in resistance on next. Now, here's where it gets weird. Best Buy is great for OLEDs, but if you're buying a massive 85-inch LCD panel, Best Buy is actually the wrong choice. Zoom out for a second. We just established that OLEDs belong to Best Buy, but OLEDs hit a hard price ceiling once you go past 77 in. If you're trying to fill a massive basement wall with an 85-in or 98-in panel, you're likely buying a mini LED or a traditional full-array local dimming LCD. This changes the math. You aren't fighting burn-in anymore. You're fighting the panel lottery, firmware bugs, and the physical nightmare of moving a 120 lb sheet of microelectronics. Let's look at the Sony Bravo XRX90 CL in the 85 in size. At retail, this floats around $119.99. It is arguably the most reliable mid-range cinematic panel on the market, offering incredible motion processing without the aggressive black crush you see on competing models. Buying this specific panel on Amazon, however, is essentially playing Russian roulette with a delivery truck. Amazon frequently relies on contracted third-party couriers who are paid per stop, meaning your 85-inch Sony is competing for space in a van with dog food, dumbbells, and bulk toilet paper. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, doesn't Amazon have a specialized heavy bulky delivery team? They do, but they don't always use it, and you have zero control over the routing algorithm. I tested this last November. I ordered an 85-in TCL QM8 through Amazon Prime just to see the logistics chain in action. It arrived in the back of a rented Enterprise box truck, lying completely flat on the metal floorboards underneath 2 heavy mattress boxes. That is fatal. You can never lay a modern LCD panel flat during transit. The glass flexes, the microscopic bonds holding the diffuser layers separate, and you end up with massive pressure marks that ruin the screen uniformity entirely. This is exactly why Costco dominates the massive LED category for suburban buyers. Costco's entire physical infrastructure is built around moving large, incredibly heavy pallets with forklifts, and their white glove delivery partners are explicitly trained to keep panels vertical. But the real superpower is their 90-day return policy combined with the automatic second-year warranty. Remember the brutal 15-day Best Buy trap we talked about earlier? Costco gives you 3 full months to live with the television. That spec sheet reads like a dating profile. Impressive until you meet it in person. You need time to discover the actual flaws that reviewers miss in a lab setting. When I tested the Heinz U8N side by side with the Sony last month, within the first 10 minutes, I noticed the Heinz had significantly higher peak brightness, hitting over 2,000 nits in HDR specular highlights. But after living with it for 3 weeks, I realized their local dimming algorithm aggressively dims subtitles against dark backgrounds, making sci-fi movies incredibly frustrating to watch. With Best Buy, I would have already been locked in by the time I watched enough movies to notice the pattern. With Costco, I simply boxed it up on day 45, loaded it up right in my SUV, and handed it to the person at the return desk. It was effortless. No grueling RMA process, no shipping fees. They scanned my membership card and refunded the money to my Visa right there. And then there is the hidden long-term trap of modern electronics: powerboard failure. Most manufacturers only give you a 12-month warranty. The dirty secret of the television industry is that component failure spikes dramatically right around month 14, just outside the coverage window. Costco automatically extends the manufacturer warranty to 2 years for free. If the backlight array dies on your $500 Samsung QN90D 18 months after purchase, Costco Concierge handles the repair or replacement. But that's not even the part that gets people in trouble. Let's talk about the Costco derivative model trick: because this is where buyers actually get played by the manufacturers. You might see a Samsung Q80C at Best Buy and then notice Costco sells what looks like the exact identical TV for $100 less. Look closely at the model number. Costco's version will often end in a D or an A, like Q80CD. Manufacturers build these retailer-specific derivatives specifically to prevent Best Buy and Target from having to price match Costco's aggressive warehouse pricing. It is a trap. Sometimes the changes are harmless, like swapping a backlit remote for a standard plastic one. Sometimes they gut the audio. You might bring home the Costco derivative and realize the internal speakers sound like a 2014 smartphone because they physically removed the dedicated subwoofers from the chassis to hit that lower price point. You have to verify the exact specifications of the derivative model on ratings or dedicated AV forms before buying, because the manufacturers will not clearly disclose what corners they cut on the box. They just lower the MSRP and hope you assume it's identical to the mainstream review units everyone is praising on YouTube. I know half of you will disagree with this next take, and you'll argue that buying open box on Amazon Warehouse is the ultimate budget hack for large anals. I completely reject that. Buying a returned 75-inch TV from Amazon is the single highest risk electronics purchase you can make in 2026. It is a massive gamble. You are trusting that the previous owner packaged a 90-pound fragile electronic device perfectly. They never do. I ordered a like-new Amazon Warehouse LG C3 last year just to audit the condition. The outer cardboard looked entirely fine, but the original owner had packed the heavy metal stand directly against the back of the LED panel without the protective foam separator. One bump in transit and the stand punched a hole straight through the mainboard housing, shattering the glass from the inside out. Dealing with Amazon customer service to arrange a freight return for a damaged open box heavy item is a bureaucratic circle of hell I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I will concede 1 point to Amazon, though. If you're buying a disposable 250 to 43-inch Insignia or TCL 4 series for a guest bedroom, the Amazon ecosystem is perfectly fine. If it breaks in 2 years, you recycle it and move on. But for primary living room displays, the 65 to 85-inch panels that anchor your entire home theater, you are buying a long-term appliance. You need local leverage when things go wrong. You need a physical desk to walk up to when the firmware loops, the Wi-Fi card drops the signal constantly, or the panel develops severe dirty screen effect. Which of these policies surprised you? Because the absolute lack of a second year warranty on standard Best Buy and Amazon purchases caught me completely off guard when I first started auditing this category. It genuinely feels like a financial penalty just for not paying attention to the fine print. Okay, let's bring this back to your actual living room wall. We have covered the logistical nightmares, the return policy traps, and the derivative model scams. Now we need to figure out exactly which door you should walk through to buy your next display. I break this down into 3 distinct buyer profiles. First, the panel lottery gambler. If you are buying an organic panel, the LG C5, the Sony A95L, or the Samsung S90D, your retailer choice is already made for you. You are going to Best Buy. You are buying the My Best Buy Total membership for $180, and you are adding the Geek Squad protection. This is not optional. I tested the LG C4 against the Sony A80L last summer, and within the first 10 minutes I realized how aggressive Sony's automatic dimming had become just to prevent burn-in. They know what happens. Protect your investment. Second, the suburban bulk buyer. You want an 85-inch mini LED to dominate a basement theater. Your target is the Hisense U8N or the TCL QM8. You don't care about burn-in because you're not buying OLED. You care about backlight failure and dead pixels, you go to Costco. The 90-day return window and the free second-year warranty are the absolute safest bets for LCD longevity. Just remember to check the exact model number so you don't get stuck with a neutered audio system. Third, the disposable upgrader. You need a 43-inch TV for a guest room that gets used 4 times a year. You have a budget of $240. Go to Amazon, buy the cheapest Roku TV you can find. It doesn't matter if it breaks in 3 years because repairing it would cost more than replacing it anyway. But you didn't click this video for a three-way tie. You want to know who actually wins the retail war in 2026. Best overall goes to Best Buy, but only if you pay the ransom. That is the frustrating reality. If you have the $180 annual membership, Best Buy offers the most secure, comprehensive buying experience for high-end panels. Their 60-day return window eliminates the anxiety of early defects, and their in-house Geek Squad delivery fleet actually knows how to transport glass without snapping it. I know that sounds like I'm contradicting myself after tearing apart their base 15-day policy earlier. Hear me out. If you are dropping $3,000 on an LG G4, the $180 membership is essentially mandatory delivery and return insurance. Best value hands down is Costco. They aren't trying to upsell you a separate tech support subscription. They just give you 90 days to test the panel and 2 years of warranty coverage natively. I bought my living room Sony from them, loaded it into the back of my truck, and grabbed a $1.50 hot dog on the way out. You cannot beat that efficiency. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, you completely left out Amazon. I did. Buying a massive, expensive television on Amazon is a terrible idea. The lack of a dedicated train delivery fleet for all orders means you are rolling the dice with standard couriers. If you have to return a defective 83-inch TV to Amazon after you threw the box away, you will have to pay a freight company hundreds of dollars to custom crate the panel. It is a financial disaster waiting to happen. And this is the part that genuinely frustrates me about the modern tech review cycle. We spend 40 hours measuring the DCI-3 color gamut coverage with specialized colorimeters. We debate whether the Sony XR processor renders skin tones 2% more accurately than the Samsung NQ4 AI Gen 2. Everything I just said, it almost doesn't matter because none of those micrometrics survive a shattered panel. Here is the absolute truth about buying a television right now. You are no longer just buying a display. You are buying a reverse logistics contract. When a manufacturer shaves 3mm off the bezel to make the TV look sleeker in press photos, they completely destroy the structural rigidity of the chassis. These panels are effectively giant potato chips made of glass and aluminum. I'll throw this out there, and I fully expect that the comments get heated. I think manufacturers should be legally forced to provide a hard-shell return case if they expect consumers to ship back 85-inch televisions for warranty claims. Expecting a normal person to retain a refrigerator-sized cardboard box in their apartment for 12 months is anti-consumer behavior disguised as standard policy. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you actually keep those massive boxes. I want to see the photos of your garage. This decision shapes how you approach every major appliance purchase going forward. Stop treating televisions like disposable USB cables. They're heavy, fragile investments that require physical infrastructure to manage. If you are ready to buy and you want to, make sure you're getting the exact models we discussed, and not the stripped-down derivative versions with terrible speakers. I have put links to the vetted, verified, exact SKUs in the description. Using those links ensures you get the safe versions, and it helps fund the independent testing we do here. Before you buy anything, measure your car. If the box cannot stand vertically, pay for the delivery. Trust me, that money you save hauling it flat will vanish the second you plug it in and see the cracks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next